All right, hello. I am Monica Tenaya with Riverstone Bodywork, and today we're going to be doing some stuff for the shoulders and the hip flexors. You'll need two blocks and as long of a foam roller as you can find. We're just going to start off with the foam roller. We're going to sit the foam roller through the length of the spine. We're going to sit your tailbones right on the edge of that foam roller and lay back down on the foam roller. Next, we're going to take our thumbs up, and keep those thumbs rotating towards the bottom of the floor, and then reaching your arms up overhead. Do that a few times, where you reach the arms up, coming back down towards your sides, reaching up one more time. And this time, just let your arms relax down. Taking a few breaths. Softening through the shoulders. Good. Inhale, coming up. We're going to take the foam roller and we're going to roll out our spine. So sit at the base of your tailbone. Go ahead and just roll your spine all the way out, up and down the length of your spine. And then once you get to about the mid-thoracic or just below your ribs, you're going to just release your spine down, release your head down. Come up, bring the foam roller up closer towards the neck, and again, relax over it. Inhaling up, relaxing over, just starting to open up through that thoracic spine. Inhaling back up one more time. Then we're going to turn onto our sides. We're targeting that whole muscle group right under the shoulder here. So I can get all the way from the bottom of my scapula and then come all the way up towards your armpit. And then from your armpit, just start to roll back and forth. This is releasing the teres minor and major and the deltoid. Good, and then we'll reverse to the other side. Start at that mid-rib area just below the shoulder blade. Roll all the way up. Once you get to the armpit, just move side to side, forward and back. Good. Next, we're going to foam roller our quads. Depending on how often you do this, you might want to do one quad at a time or two quads at a time. But just roll up and down the length of the quad. Good, and then we'll roll on to the left side of our T-band. Depending again how intense you want the sensations to be, you can have both legs up, or if you want to soften the intensity, put one leg down. That'll make it less intense there. Then we're going to roll all the way back to get that hamstring. Roll the length of the hamstring up and down. And then we'll come on to the glutes. There's a couple of ways to get your glutes. One way is you put that left ankle on top of the right knee and just move around on the rotators on the glutes. And then another way is to turn the foam roller lengthwise alongside your spine again and then roll on the glutes that way. So play around with which one feels good for you. And then we'll transition now to the right IT band. Just go ahead and come down. Pick your poison with how intense you want it to be. Make sure you roll all the way up to that hip and all the way down to the knee. Rotate into the hamstring. And then coming onto the glute, you'll bring right ankle to left knee. Good. And again, Maybe you play with turning it to the other side. And if you follow this video along again in the future, you'll already know which one hits your glutes in the better way. So just go straight to that. Good. All right, we'll put the foam roller aside. We'll come onto our mat, and you want to have big paws right underneath your shoulders. So you'll see that my shoulders are right underneath, my hands are right underneath my shoulders. And take a moment to look down at your hands and really try and spread the fingertips out as wide as you can and feel each of your knuckle bones making contact with the mat. And then from here, we're gonna collapse in the shoulder girdle and push away. So we're collapsing right through here in the thoracic spine, right between the shoulder blades. So you'll release down, push the floor away. Release down, push the floor away. Back and forth, moving with your breath. Exhale, inhale, exhale, inhale. Really feeling that engagement as you push the floor away. A couple more times. Good, and then we'll bring that to stillness. And now we're gonna turn our fingertips towards each other. And then you're just gonna sway side to side. And depending on how flexible your wrists are, you might just be here. Or as you start to feel like you have a little bit more openness in the forearms, you'll start to do some big 360-degree rotations. So you'll do big circles over those wrists. One direction then the other. Nice. Now you're going to transfer your fingertips so that they're facing towards your knees. And then you're going to sit back in your hips any amount. And that's just giving you an assisted stretch through the forearms. Take a couple of breaths here. Big, long inhale. Heavier, longer exhale. One more breath. Good, and now you're gonna turn the fingertips away from each other. And again, you're just gonna start off moving side to side. You're exploring how flexible are my wrists today. Being mindful of keeping your knuckles glued to the ground. And then as you feel comfortable, maybe you'll start to do 360 degrees. This can sometimes be a little tweaky on your wrists if you're feeling tighter, so only do this if it feels good in your wrists. Nice. All right. This is where our blocks come in. We're going to be working on opening up through our hip girdle. So what we're focusing on is the psoas. It comes in from the inner groin and wraps up and connects into the lumbar spine. So that's a big muscle group to be targeting. And I find that when I'm feeling extra tight, some blocks are super helpful. So you can adjust the blocks at whatever height works best for you. But we're gonna come back into that tabletop position. You can use your blocks now. And we're just gonna move into a couple of cat-cows where you arch through the spine with the exhale, and then as you inhale, you'll look up towards the ceiling. If that feels too easy with the blocks, you can remove the blocks. Good, and then coming to neutral spine, you're gonna shoot that right foot back, keeping the toes on the ground, and then just give yourself a calf stretch. 2 big cycles of breath. Nice, and now you're gonna take that right foot and you're gonna draw it all the way to the outside of the left body, looking over your shoulder. Sending your breath into that right hip. left knee. We'll go through a few more cat-cows, arching through the spine. Inhale, looking up towards the ceiling. Good, and then coming to neutral, we're gonna shoot that left leg back, keeping the toes on the ground. Give yourself a juicy calf stretch. Nice, and then we're gonna draw that left foot all the way to the outside of your right body, looking over right shoulder at that left foot. You should be feeling a big stretch through the side body here. Good, and then coming back to neutral. Taking a glance down at your hands, making sure that your hands are making full contact either with the blocks or with the floor. We're gonna get ready to move into downward dog. So you're gonna tuck those toes and you're gonna lift your hips up into the sky. Take one big cycle of breath here, inhaling through the nose. Exhale out the mouth, and then we're gonna lift the left leg up. And then exhale, we're gonna swing that left foot in between the hands, and we're gonna lower our right knee down. If you have knee sensitivities, put something underneath that right knee. This is where your blocks come in handy. If you're feeling really tight, you wanna lift those blocks up. What we're going for is your hips moving down, and you see that my ankle and my knee are in good alignment. And work on lengthening your right knee further back. So just take a moment to pause here, breathing, letting your hips sink down. And then notice, are you holding tension in your shoulders or your jaw? Are your shoulders trying to lift your weight up off of that hip? See if you can soften. And then releasing your hips back, straightening that front leg any amount. Again, the blocks here are really helpful. Lifting them up any amount to give yourself a little bit less intensity in the hamstring. If you're feeling extra flexible, then maybe you just remove the blocks altogether. And with your hips back, we're gonna play a little experiment. You're gonna turn your toes towards the left corner of your mat. You'll notice how that changes the stretch in your hamstring. And then you're gonna turn your toes towards the right corner of your mat. Good. Coming back to neutral. Bringing your toes towards your nose, pointing those toes towards your nose, pointing them away. Point those toes back towards the nose. And then we're gonna come forward again into this low lunge, lifting tall through the spine. And if this feels good, maybe you'll inhale your arms up. Extending through the fingertips, feeling that long line of energy through the core of the body. Good, and then exhaling, hands back down to the blocks. Go ahead and release that left hand, bringing it inside of the right foot. Again, this is totally optional of how you want to be using your blocks. These are here to help take any stress, extra stress off of the hips. So for me, I'm comfortable right here just like this. But some of you might want to support yourselves up just a little bit more. But what we're working towards eventually is getting our elbows either on blocks, or some yogis can get all the way to the floor. Even I'm not quite there yet. I do a lot of athletics, so I'm a little tighter. So for me, the blocks is where it's at. And once you get here, release your head down. Let your head be heavy. And let's take 3 full big cycles of breath. Deep, long inhales, even longer exhales. Good. If you lowered down onto your forearms, lifting back up onto those hands on the blocks. You're going to place your left hand on the outside of your left ankle, and we're going to get ready to move back into downward facing dog. So in order to do that, I'm going to tuck my back toes under, lift that knee, shoot that left foot back, and we're just going to go straight into downward dog again. Finding your breath, take one big full cycle of breath. And then inhale the right leg up to the sky. Exhale, bringing right knee to nose and planting right foot in between the hands. You're gonna lower that back knee down, release the foot. Maybe you have blocks here, maybe not. And then again, pause, spine elongated. Doing the same scan that we did on the other side, noticing if you're holding tension in your shoulders. In fact, maybe roll the shoulders up and down the back, being tall and broad through the chest. One more big cycle of breath. And with that exhale, releasing your hips back, straightening that front leg. Blocks or no, you choose what feels better to you. And then we're going to start to play with our toes. You're going to point your toes towards the right corner of your mat. Point your toes towards the left corner. And then coming back through neutral, bring toes towards nose, and then point toes away. Your toes might even come all the way down to the mat while you're sinking back in your hips. And then bring toes to nose, point toes down, and then rotate forward once again, coming into that high lunge. All the while sending that big breath all through this hip flexor, inhaling arms up. Or not, or keeping your hands on the blocks, whatever feels best in your body. Exhale, hands come down. We're going to bring that right hand inside of the right foot this time. So same thing we were doing on the other side. Choose if you want blocks or not. And then for some of you, this might be enough of a stretch right here with just your arms supported. Some of you might want to lower down onto your block at any height. And just release your head. Let it be as heavy as a bowling ball. Inhaling back up. We're going to get ready to transfer back into downward facing dog. So you're going to plant both of those hands down. You're going to tuck the back toes under, lifting the knee, shooting that right foot back, coming back into downward facing dog, making sure your fingertips are your knuckles are pressing into the mat. Your shoulders are pushing the floor away. And then we're going to take as many baby steps as you can. Itsy bitsy little baby steps, walking your feet towards your hands, coming into forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold. Inhale, halfway lift. When you halfway lift, you're coming back straight through the back, and then you're exhaling back down. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, releasing back down one more time. Again, this is somewhere where you can use blocks if this is too intense, if you can't reach down towards your toes, which is totally normal. Maybe you're just using blocks here. Good. And then our final stretch that we're going to do is you're going to sink back down on your hips. We're going to do a stretch to open up through the rotators. So there's two options for this stretch. I personally recommend using a wall, especially if you're already feeling tight. So based on how tight you are is going to determine how close to the wall your hips are. So you're going to bring that right ankle to left knee. Reclining pigeon pose is what this is called. And if this is not enough of a stretch, then you can sink your hips a little bit closer to the wall until you start to feel that stretch in that glute. Again, if you're feeling a little bit more open, maybe you don't need a wall at all, in which case you can take your right hand, thread it through the window formed by the triangle of your foot, and then reach around for your knee or the hamstring. So either option, if you're on the wall or not, close your eyes and count 3 full cycles of breath. Good, and then releasing, we're gonna switch to the other side. You're gonna place the left ankle on the right knee, and you're either reaching through the window for that knee or you're against the wall. Noticing which one feels better for you and your body. Once you arrive, take 3 full cycles of breath. Alright, and that sums up our practice for today. Again, I am Monica Tenaya with Riverstone Bodywork. You can find me on 14th and River is where my office is, and I teach yoga on Tuesday nights at the Commons Climbing Gym. So please come and find me. Hope you enjoyed this video.